Believe it or not, it's been roughly a year since I went camping. And last time I went camping, I did a video on a woodcraft carving kit that I had purchased of birds. And that came out relatively nice, and I was pretty pleased with it. So I'm thinking about trying another carving kit from Woodcraft, and that is this Santa Claus. Now, it is definitely not the season for Christmas, but as all makers know, you need to start early or you're going to find yourself in a problem. So I think I'm not going to be using the instructions too closely. One of the things it suggests to do is paste on all the patterns onto the block. Okay, and it does that immediately. Then you start carving away, and then now, let's say if I'm carving, this is the face, and I carve away the sides like this, then what ends up happening is that I've carved away all the pattern that's on that side, so now I have to redraw it back. Well, if I'm redrawing it back anyways, I might as well just draw it on in the first place, and that's what I'm going to do. I drew it out, and I think I did a relatively decent job. And you know, perfection is not necessary on these type of projects. So, yeah, good enough is roughly good enough. Now, the shape of this knife is slightly different than the shape of the knife that came with the first kit, which is kind of nice. So therefore I have two different knives. So let's see how this works. I didn't bother drawing out the sides yet because, like I said earlier, I'm going to be cutting all that away. So why bother drawing the sides until it's time? So this is not a hobby for people that are in a hurry. In all honesty, I've been carving for roughly a half hour, and I got a Santa Claus here. Look. All I got for a half hour worth of work is this little corner cut off. You know, I just told my wife, you know, God created power tools for a reason. Alright, so I spent another half hour and I got this side of the hat done, or near done. The difficulty is that what I'm finding is that when you're cutting the edges, the corners is really easy, right? But when you get down here where you don't have a lot of, you've got a lot of width to cut, it's pretty difficult. So cutting the whole length of this, or this, or this, will be pretty hard to do. My thumb is starting to get sore from pushing on the blade, so I'm going to take a break for the rest of the day. And I hope you approve my leave request. And if you don't, well, fire me. You know, hand carving may not actually be my jam, but I'm going to try it some more. And I'm going to do this as a hybrid. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out the shape, the rough shape, with the bandsaw, and then once that's done, I'll just use the hand carving tools to refine it and see how that works for me. I'm not enjoying the whole process of sitting here just whittling away, but I might learn to like it over time, so I'm going to keep trying. So I went ahead and drew out a rough shape for my other block, and we're just going to go ahead and start cutting away. Well, they don't look like much right now, but what I did do is I marked the front because it's really kind of hard to tell which is front and back and side right now. But I got the bulk of the chiseling away, and now it's just going to be a matter of carving it out. Let's see if this works. So I think I might have made a mistake, and I used the bandsaw and I cut out a rough profile of each corner, and then the idea being that I'd have corners to carve from. to make my little Santa Clauses. And after I did it, I said, uh-oh, that's not going to be good. I did it on both units, and for the last couple hours I've been carving this one, and I'm starting to get kind of roundish, but it's not going to look anything like the photograph, in all honesty. So who knows, maybe this goes into the fire pit and we'll use this as a learning experience. I've been working on these Santa Claus carving kits for a little while now, and one of the beauties of hand carving is that the idea is that you're doing a calm and relaxing event that is enjoyable and a lot of fun. And one of the problems I've discovered is that I don't find it calming and relaxing. I find it rather frustrating and tiring, because I'm a type of person that I'm looking for results and not necessarily the process is the main event. I mean, I do enjoy the process in a lot of cases, but the goal of the process is for the completed project, and I find that the hand carving is definitely not as fun as I thought it would be when I started doing them. So I am going to finish these Santa Clauses using my Dremel tool. That didn't bother me as much as a process as the it didn't bother me as much as the hand carving. So that's where I'm at right now. And so I've got my carving kit here, and I've got my Dremel tool, and what I have here, this is an awning from the RV, an old RV. This is an awning pulls down the awning on your RV in the olden days when you had manual ones, and I find it makes it a lot easier to hang my Dremel off of that. And then I have this wand here. So I'm going to get set up, and I'm going to continue working on this entire Santa Claus. I don't know if it shows up in the camera too well, but it's getting better. It's getting closer. I think what I'm going to do is when I get very close, then I will convert back to the knife to refine stuff, but I think it's looking good. I've progressed very well, in my opinion, with the Dremel. This is the first one, and I've roughed it out. Here's the second one. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and try doing the rest of this with the hand tools and see how well that works out. It's been a little while since I've messed with these Santa Claus figurines. For you, it seems like maybe 30 seconds or less. For me, it's been more like 6 months. Oopsie. Hand carving doesn't seem to be my shtick. So, with that being said, here's what I have. And considering that this is the most detailed hand carving I've ever made, I'm not at all disappointed. What I want to do is I want to make these inside corners a little sharper. I want to define shapes out a little bit better. I need to define his mustache and beard a little bit better. His shoes, his arm and hands. And then I think it's just a matter of sanding out the rough spots, and these will be done. Same thing here. This one I like a little bit better. I like the way the arms came out better, but you know, if you want perfection, you better hire somebody else. I had to move from the picnic table to the shade, and I'm even then not very much in the shade, but I'm calling this one done except for some final sanding. I think it looks good, except for one small problem. Poor Santa slid down a chimney and broke off one of his feet. Luckily, we still have it, so the elves will be gluing it back on, and nobody will be any the wiser. So I'm working on the second one, and the inevitable happened. Cut myself. Well, I should be really using that compression tape, but I'm not. Went to the store and I got some glue, but then I didn't get anything to clamp it with. So, but I do have this compression tape that I'm not using, so we'll see how well that works. This is pretty amazing right here. Brand new. Just bought the glue. It's already dried in the tip. Oh well. Alright, let's see how this worked. Santa is no longer a monoped, and now the next step of this whole process is going to be sanding. We got some sandpaper. So we got this one here, this rough, looks like there's 4, and one piece of fine with a foam back. So let's go for it. Now it's time for painting, I think. It's not perfect. There's a couple areas here, especially the cheek area, that I'm not actually happy with. It's hard to get in with the sandpaper. Let's see if I scrape it with the knife. That seems to be working. Looking good. All right, Santa Claus. Time for you to head on out to give away your toys. We will paint tomorrow, I guess. The Santa Clauses are completed. I enjoyed it in the end, but I think it's important to utilize your strengths, and the carving part was not my strength, but in the end, doing the carving as touch-up worked out just fine. The best part of this whole project is
I painted.
Yeah, baby.
Good. Finally, after every woodworking project, you should always count your fingers. You end with 10. Good job.
It's a good thing you started early, I guess.